Welcome to a part of the world that I've been requested to visit by my old army mate Russ. This is on his bucket list, but his Mrs. Crystal isn't feeling too well at the moment, so it might be a little difficult getting here. So he asked me if I'd take a look via the sim. Also, welcome to the F-35B, which is my favourite aeroplane on the sim. A little look around. All seems rather quiet. Okay, let's get some engine noise going. Fire the inverters, battery, ignition switch. Start the engine. Okay, turn the landing light on so anybody who's approaching knows that there's somebody in here. Let things warm up. Okay, we are at about 2300 here in the UK. Local time for where we are is 10:03 in the morning. Got a pressure reading. And 21 millibars is the pressure. So a nice enough day as far as the pressure goes. Turn some lights on. Position lights, strobe light, console lights. Not that we need them in the daylight, but force of habit. Hope you can hear me okay. Bear with me a few minutes while I get this thing ready to fly. Just talk among yourselves. Get a couple of maps up so we know where we're going and where we are in the world. And you'll probably see from the maps that we are in the back of beyond, Norfolk Island in the Pacific Ocean. And this is a favourite place of Russ and Crystal. We'll have a little look around it. I was going to do it in a microlight actually because it's only a small island, but I forgot to change the airplane in the hangar. So we're in the F-35. Very versatile aeroplane, so it'll do the job nicely. We can fly conventionally up to Mach 1.6 and up to 50,000 feet, or we can just pootle around here with the nozzle pointing downwards in Stovall, short takeoff, vertical landing configuration. It burns more fuel, but we're in the simulator, so it doesn't really count for any tree huggers out there. Alright. Top line is looking good. I've got my clock here, wind speed, I've got my pressure, a couple of other little things I won't bore you with, they're not important. Waypoints here, radios which I never use, and this tells me what's going on in the airframe. 3 green lights are showing that the wheels are down at present. This is the trim setup. Make sure that's going where we want it to. Trim reset to negative or to neutral. Autopilots, we're okay for now. These are the engine dials. This will tell us our thrust, exhaust gas temperature, the nozzle, oil pressure, and the temperatures on the jet fans. Two fans on the jets, outer and inner. And it's always handy to keep an eye on the situation. This is our fuel situation here. Several tanks dotted about the aeroplane to keep the centre of gravity. So that the aeroplane is going to fly as best as she can. Otherwise, you got your standard artificial horizon here, altitude, speed, and we've also got those duplicated on the head-up display. I can make this a bit smaller so we can see out the window. Okay, now that I've bored you with all that, this is where we raise the gear. That's the parking brake. Everything else seems fine. I think we're ready to go really. We've got our maps up. Top line's good. We are in. I'm going to show you from exterior how the nozzle changes configuration from a conventional configuration to a short takeoff vertical landing. Pretty much what the old Harrier used to do, but this one just has one big nozzle at the back and a fan at the front to counter the thrust, whereas on the Harrier it used to have 4 small nozzles to either side. Okay, welcome to the F-35 exterior. We seem to have the place to ourselves today. No one else around, which is good. Let's go back to the back. And if I press a switch on my throttle, that's what puts us into Stovall mode. Back inside the aeroplane. And now, I'm going to be a bit lazy. Ordinarily I'd ease myself out to the runway and either do a conventional takeoff or a short takeoff that you'll see from aircraft carriers with the ski ramp on. I'm going to do a vertical takeoff, so I'll click on that, and you'll notice that I've left the canopy open. It's one of my little idiosyncrasies, because when we hit 50 knots of forward motion, the canopy closes itself and it all goes nice and quiet, and I just like it. You can see we got yellow caution, and that is to tell us that the parking brake is still on, so we'll get rid of that one, and the other one is of course because the canopy is open. I just like one last look outside in the fresh air. A little look to the left and the right. I think that's Phillip Island, that one over there. A little bit overcast today, not to worry. Let me just check we're on the real weather, real time. Yes, we are. Okay. And that is the living areas of Norfolk Island. Looks quite nice, doesn't it? Okay, let's have a little look around. I'm going to go out to Phillip Island. Take off the hover. Full throttle. Start getting some speed up. Damn, that cursor is annoying. Oh, we're doing about 160-70 knots now. I'll bring the gear up, which I've got mapped onto my throttle. Yeah, it looks very pleasant down there. I can see why Russ likes the place. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a little cruise speed on the auto throttle, so I don't have to worry too much about that. If I put it to 120 knots, sorry, 210 knots, it'll stop the gear warning. Because this is a supersonic fighter jet, 210 knots isn't that fast. So if it goes to that kind of speed, you start getting alerts and stuff. Okay, we're now in conventional mode. You see that she sort of jumped up a little bit there. That was as the nozzle was going back to a rearward thrust position. Gear is up, we're in conventional. We can ease back on the throttle, get her out of the red zone, because we're doing nearly 500 knots now. Difficult to gauge the speed when you don't have the facility of movement in the simulator. So you have to keep a firm eye on the speed. Now I'm going to go to the autopilot and engage the auto throttle, speed 210, and then click the speed hold, and that will automatically, like a cruise control in your car, just take over the speed. And if we're just having a slow look around, it's nice not to have to worry about the throttle. One less thing to worry about, really, or one thing fewer. Okay, let's bring around back towards the island again. Lovely blue sea down there. I'll try not to move my head too much, because I know that it's nothing to me. I'm taking in everything I need to take in, and I know what my head's doing, but you won't know, and it'll be, might make you a little bit queasy. So as I say, that's Phillip Island, is the smaller one. I know next to nothing about this area, so I can't give a guided tour at all. All I can do is show you what I'm seeing for the first time as well. And I won't get too low, because when you get below 2,000 to 4,000 feet in the simulator, you can suspend belief. When you get below that, the cracks start to show. So we'll just take her up a little bit. Not even any marine traffic to be seen. It's nice having a place to yourself though, isn't it? Okay, where are we now? We'll take this off. 14 degrees centigrade today at this height, so it'll be a couple of degrees higher at the ground level, I would imagine. So a little look. I've got a few waypoints set out to give us a chance to explore the island. Now, if you look at the artificial horizon, off to the left of the panoramic screen, at the top of it you'll see a green line in the corner, and if that green line is in the center, you know that... why have I got birdsong? That's a Microsoft thing, that's not the flight simulator thing. Where does that cloud come from? All of a sudden. Okay, well... 3,000 isn't a good height, is it? Let's take it down a bit. There's the airport we just took off from. Norfolk Island International. Keep an eye on the panoramic screen so we know what's happening. An airplane like this doesn't really like being at this low speed. But fortunately, because of the nature of this aeroplane, with it being short takeoff, vertical landing, it's a lot more versatile than your conventional jet. Looks very nice down there though, doesn't it? There's a beach down there. Have a nice barbecue down there. Better to approach by boat and climb up and down, I would have thought, with all the picnic gear. Okay. Looks lovely though, doesn't it? You understand why people would want to come here. I get very suspicious of clicks. I know there's going to be the odd click and whir because the aeroplane's controlling the throttle. But sometimes when it's updated, a couple of little bugs come into it, and it'll do things like deploy the spoiler, and it's even deployed the undercarriage and gone to Stovall mode without me commanding it, which gets a little disconcerting when you're trying to fly the bloody thing. So I'm a little bit sensitive to noises. That looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Oh, okay. I'm afraid my computer isn't, it was at one time, but computer specs just, they're out of fashion as soon as you get them out of the box. And my computer isn't quite top of the notch, top of the range anymore. So it takes a little while as the sim gets more and more developed and updated. It becomes more resource hungry, and I only have my scenery at medium level, so I can continue to use it without any stutters or anything, because if you start getting stutters while the computer's catching up with the scenery, it becomes unworkable. So I'd rather have a little bit of degradation in the scenery and be able to have the speed. I'm rambling now and making no sense to those of you who aren't geeks. What did that say? Norfolk Island Convict Barracks. Oh, I see. That must go back to colonial days. Should we have a closer look at that? Okay. Probably crash the bloody thing now. Take the auto throttle off. I have control. Right. Back to idle. Bring around. This kind of thing is not advisable in a conventional aeroplane. we go into stall almost. Check gear. Gear comes down. It thinks we're trying to land. And what I will do is I will get alongside and we'll take a closer look. I love this aeroplane. One minute it's a supersonic jet, next minute it's almost a helicopter. Okay, press the button and we go to Stovall mode. Cancel the menu. Cancel menu. Bloody Microsoft. Oh, that looks pleasant enough, doesn't it? What we don't want to do is land in the water, so that will make an abrupt end to the flight. That looks really nice down there. Is that a golf course down there? Looks like it, doesn't it? I say it doesn't quite look real. It's based upon Bing's map, which is pretty much like Google Earth. And what they do is they just take the Bing map and populate it with 3D buildings and foliage, etc. And also a mesh that gives it its density and, you know, so you don't have flat mountains basically and hills. And it does the job quite nicely, all things considered. The whole world is represented. At 1:1, which, you know, it just blows you away really, the fact that you can travel the whole world and see it as, you know, give or take, it actually looked. Alright, you might fly over your house and say, oh, my house doesn't look like that, but at least there'll be something there that is a representation of your house. And, you know, you might be surprised, it might look like your house. It's a very small island, isn't it? Not a great deal to see, I'm afraid, but what there is to see is really, really pretty and really nice. I can imagine this is you know, really nice to visit. I don't know about living here permanently, but you know, you could spend at least a month, a couple of months here, and then decide whether it's for you or not. Don't know what's going on here. A lot of foliage, whether that's forest, jungle, whatever. It looks pretty dense. I don't see any tracks to speak of. Although there is that a beacon? It looks like an airport beacon actually, green and white, which would indicate a civilian commercial airport. You say this is the first time I've actually been here and looked down. I thought I may have been here once before, but it doesn't at all look familiar from previous flights. I've flown the Pacific before. I've landed on little islands here and there, but I don't think I've actually... Kingston and Arthur's Vale Historic Area. I'm sure it's all very Victorian or whatever down there. The airport somewhat dominates the island though, doesn't it, really, when you think about it? I'm not quite sure what aeroplanes operate in and out of here. I would have thought Dash 800s or something like that. They tend to be used for regional flights. See them in New Zealand and places like that. And that might be one down there actually. Looks as though we're standing still in the middle of nowhere, mid-air. We're actually descending at 1500 feet a minute. And we're doing 3 miles an hour, 3 knots. 3 knots would be about, I don't know, 5 miles an hour or something like that. I don't get too tied up in conversions. So it's one of the beauties of the F-35B with its swiveling nozzle. How are we doing for fuel? Okay, we're at 2.7, so we're not in any trouble because the airport's only there. It's always an idea to keep an eye on the fuel in this, especially when you're doing slow flying, because it eats the fuel. Let's see, the FF there ahead is the fuel flow, and that's at 10,000 pounds an hour, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, calm down. Got a bit skittish there. I think she threw herself out of Stovall into conventional, and this speed for a conventional configuration is not good. Looks very civilized down there, doesn't it? Very cozy and nice. I think if you wanted a more accurate look at what the place is like, Google Earth would be a place to have a look at. But I always find, I mean, I'm in a VR headset, so I have that advantage over anybody watching this now in 2D. I can see this in 3D as though I'm looking out of the aeroplane for real. So it gives me that perspective. It allows me to see things as they'd look in real life, in terms of dimensions and depth perception. See, you've got one side of the island that is very densely forested, shall we say. And I'm a little bit conscious of the fact that Microsoft Flight Simulator can get a little bit carried away with its foliage. The AI algorithm that populates... Bingo, what's his name? Oh, there we go, we're down to 2. Ordinarily, if I was on a normal flight, I'd be looking for somewhere to land now. It's far from a worrying situation. We've still got £2,000 of fuel, but as an added safety margin, I always start looking for somewhere to. But we'd be fine, even when she calls low fuel, which will be at 1,000. It's not a worry. Yeah, the algorithm for the foliage population of the sim can get a little carried away sometimes, so we're conscious of that. But I've got an add-on that should mitigate that somewhat. So there may be a little more foliage here than there is in real life, but it's a fair representation. There seems to be enough in the way of civilization down there that I'm sure you'd be kept busy during any stay you had here. And obviously there's a transport hub as far as regional flights go. They seem to have that pretty well sewn up. Everything looks quite modern and functional down there. I didn't see a harbour. And I don't know what data comms would be like, phone comms. But if those things are okay, you've got everything you need really, haven't you? No farm animals or anything, but they may not be modelled. No traffic either. I expected there to be a little bit of traffic. The sim does populate with traffic in keeping with the... Oh, there's something down there. What's that? A lorry going along the grass. It would appear along the side of the runway. You don't see that every day. Fuel low. Okay, well, I hope this has been of some use to you, Russ. Oh look, there's a little jetty down there. Must have flown straight past that before, but I was obviously occupied with flying the aeroplane. So there must be some sort of sea traffic, albeit a little primitive by usual standards. Russ also wants me to have a look at Pitcairn Island, which is a couple of hours flight from here, give or take. So I probably won't do a flight from here to there for the purpose of showing Russ what he wants to see, because it'd be, I imagine, boring just flying over beautiful sea as it is. And if I think on, I may do it in the microlight next time. Right, let's get ourselves on the ground, and then I can show Russ's island. Okay, fuel low, bingo fuel, wheels are down, we are in Stovall, jolly good. All we need to do is decide where we're going to put down. Oh look, there's an airport. Why don't we put down there? Good look around for traffic. Non-seen. Nothing on the map. I think we'll be a bit lazy and put it down on the apron. Maybe even the taxiway. It's brilliant being able to just plotter at this speed. Ooh, we're very low on fuel. Now we need to start thinking about getting on the ground. £300 of fuel left, which for this is almost on fumes. Gear is down, double check that. Well, I hope this has been of some use to you, Russ. Blank. There she is. Let's open the window, let some fresh air in. Hello, tower. Yeah, that's the kind of aeroplane I was talking about for the regional flights. Very popular. Oh, and there's a little top winger there. Two of them, in fact. Where am I going to put her? Out of the way. Don't want to get in the way of that. Don't want to get in the way of them. Don't want to crash into that tree. How about just here? Handbrake on. Well, thank you for flying with us, and I hope you enjoyed the flight and a little scenic trip around Norfolk Island. Stop recording.